If one were to trace the spiritual and historical landmarks of Lahore, Bibi Pagdaman would emerge as the most oldest and enigmatic landmarks. But who are these Bibis this beautiful shrine commemorates? Come, let's find out.
According to local traditions, this marks the final resting place of Ruqayya bint Ali, daughter of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, sister of Hazrat Abbas, and stepsister of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain. She is believed to have arrived in the Indian subcontinent during the Umayyad period, roughly in the late 7th to early 8th century CE.
Others include Aqil ibn Abi Talib's 5 daughters, Hani, Luqman, Zainab, Ramla, and Asma. And when, after the events of Karbala, there was a huge upheaval in the entire state of Lahore, which was then a part of Khorasan, was witnessing upheaval following the events of Karbala in 680 CE.
दुआ मांग जब मैं टाइम मेरे पापा रो मैंने पहुंच जाए 1 बजे हाँ असने ला मैं दुआ मांग सलाम मैं पीपी पा पड़ो या अली मदद
इंशाल्लाह बीबी पाक आपकी दुआ कबूल करेंगी आप जिस मकसद के लिए आई हैं।
हाँ जी
Historical narratives suggest that a group of noble women from the Prophet's family fled persecution as ordained by Imam Hussain under the Umayyad Caliphate and reached what was then a heavily forested area on the outskirts of ancient Lahore. Interestingly, there is no archaeological evidence to confirm their identities. However, their corners of the dupattas they wore were used to confirm their graves.
या अली मदद मैं दूर से आई हूँ 4 पागवाल से सियालकोट होके कखान से आए थे आदमी हूँ मेरी हर दुआ जी है ना कबूल होंदी है ते इंशाल्लाह ताला सब दी इत्थे दुआ कबूल होंदी है ते कोई बंदा खाली नहीं जाता है पाक दी दुआ दाम।
One of the most enduring tradition is the belief that once someone tries to expand or renovate the shrine, the entire structure collapses. Engineers and masons from the British period reportedly faced unexplained structural failures. Today, this is often interpreted as a spiritual boundary that cannot be disturbed.
In Lahore's complex historical mosaic, Bibi Pagdaman doesn't just represent a moment in time, it represents the resilience of memory.
And sometimes memory is all a place that needs to become immortal.
Towering over Lahore's old city, Badshahi Masjid is more than just a mosque. It's the last symbol of Mughal grandeur.
Commissioned in 1961 by Emperor Aurangzeb and completed over just 2 years, it could hold over 100,000 worshippers, the largest mosque of its time.
Built from Jaipur sandstone and Makrana marble, which was used also in the making of Taj Mahal, this mosque is both imperial and spiritual.
Strategically built in Lahore, not Delhi, it was Aurangzeb's way of asserting Mughal control in a region facing rising Sikh influence.
Locals also whisper about the Jinnowala Minar, a minaret where shadows climb and voices pray unseen.
From Mughal mosque to Sikh post and restored by British, the story is layered like a city itself.
Its acoustics are legendary. Even a whisper under the dome can travel the entire hall.
And today, it stands not just as a monument, but as Lahore's heart, still echoing with history and faith.
Badshahi Masjid isn't just a site, it's a story written in stone, sound, and silence. Hidden behind Lahore's urban sprawl lies a garden from another time. The garden that once echoed with royal footsteps and the murmur of flowing water. This is called Shalimar Bagh and it was built in 1641 by none other than the one who built the Taj Mahal, Emperor Shah Jahan.
Inspired by the Persian concept of Chahar Bagh, a four-fold paradise, Shalimar Gardens were not just leisure grounds, they were a political and spiritual symbol. Carefully designed in 3 descending terraces, each had its own purpose: royal retreat, court gatherings, and even public access.
These terraces, Farah Bakhsh, Faiz Bakhsh, and Hayat Bakhsh, were lined with marble pavilions, fruit trees, and ornamental flower beds. But the most breathtaking feature? Over 400 fountains, all powered by a gravity-fed canal called Shah Nahar, sourced from the foothills of Kashmir.
It's not just beauty, it's brilliant Mughal engineering. Water flowed across levels to create natural air conditioning, and some fountains were built to produce calming sounds. Almost like music, yes, the garden was designed to sound as beautiful as it looked.
And the white marble benches and lotus fountains, they were carved by artisans from Multan in Thatta.
Aqueducts were altered, marble stolen, and part of it turned into a troop campsite. Yet even today it holds its grace, so much so that it's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Shalimar isn't just a garden, it is a living poem of symmetry, of serenity, and of Mughal genius.
A reminder that true paradise can be shaped by human hands, but only if we dare to dream like emperors did.